Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Chess for Charity. I know it has been a while, and I've missed you all so much. Let's get to an amazing puzzle from a fantastic subscriber. So, in this position, it is a white to move. I'm not going to say whether it's to draw or to win or anything like that. It's just white to move. These pawns on b2 and h2 are going up the board, which means I can capture this if I wanted to. And conversely, these pawns then are going down the board. So, just taking a glance at this position, there's some stuff to notice here. Just for example, if this pawn was like here, for example, on f6, this bishop would be able to give checkmate. That's kind of one thing to keep in the back of your mind. And you say, okay, what else here? I have this very dangerous pawn to worry about on a3, and I can't really make any use with the rook because this is covered. So what is the strategy here? And maybe you think, oh, I can just, go here and checkmate. Well, they can push the pawn. Does that get you anywhere? And then you have to calculate, right? So take a second, if you'd like to, see if you can find the answer to this puzzle. It's a lot of fun. And I'll show you the answer in just a moment. Okay, so the first move in this position is rook a1. Now you might say, wait a second, can't they just play a2? What's the problem? We'll talk about that in a moment. The reason why it's not another move, maybe you're thinking rook c1, something like this, is that loses pretty immediately, right? You gotta be careful. And another reason is you can't really get your rook anywhere that gives a check because all the squares are covered. What are you gonna do? Go here, move, go here, go here. It's not really gonna work. Too many moves, and this pawn in a3 is too dangerous. Okay, so the first move, rook a1. But wait a second. Why can't they just push a2? Well, they can. Let's look at that variation in just a moment. You might wonder, can't they also check me? Can they do this? Those things can be done, but it would just be a perpetual check. Like this, for example, king c4, you want to kind of stay close. You're threatening checkmate. If they push now, then it's a whole different case. Then you lose the game because this, pretty interesting. See this combination? Very nice. So you have to be careful if you're black. You can't just be giving everything up. Okay, so let's show the main variation. You play rook a1. You want to mate on a3. They play a2. Now that variation I just showed a moment ago, it almost works the exact same, but the problem is the bishop is not supported entirely. Let me show you what I mean. If I capture and give check, this is not going to be mate because I cannot capture this rook because it's not defended adequately. Hopefully you see what I mean there. In the previous example, I had the king here. The king is not there right now, so if I take this, I would lose the game because the pawn in a2 is simply too fast. Okay, so let's go all the way back. First move, rook a2. They move here. Now, what is the idea? Maybe you set this up first. Maybe that's your idea. Maybe I play bishop d1 with the idea of rook takes a2 mate. Clever idea, but it doesn't work because they can check you, which makes your king move away from these squares. Even if they're attacking you, totally fine. Rook c2 is a stunning move. Look at that. And if you do this, it looks like a cool idea, but look, it's not going to be enough. How are you going to stop this pawn? You're not. Super cool, right? Okay, let's go back, just kind of showing you some of the beauty in this position, some of the variations there. Very nice. So you can't play bishop d1 first. That's the point of my variation there, showing the variation. Okay, the correct move is actually to take. And then after they take, you play bishop d1. You force them to block with the rook, and now you play king c4. What is the threat in this position here? The threat is bishop takes rook checkmate. So if they queen, that sucks for them. That's mate because all those squares are covered. Okay, so they have to do something about this b3 rook. Maybe they play this. a1 equals knight. That is the only way to keep this game alive. Now the question for white is, what do you play? You can't move this bishop. Well, first of all, you can, but you shouldn't. If you move it here, you just get taken. No kidding. If you move away from this diagonal, So away from the A4 to D1 diagonal, well, now you're allowing these pieces to move, which means they can take this pawn, for example, and things are not good. You want to do this, you're going into a losing endgame. Doesn't make sense. Okay, so you don't want to move the bishop. Well, you can't legally move these pawns. That leaves you with only one other thing, which is the king. So you want to keep their king blocked off. So you play king c5. The hope is to induce some kind of Zugzwang situation, because the knight can't move, because you could just capture it, and the rook can't move because it's not legal, because it's pinned. These pawns are currently immobile, so they have just two things that can move. So what's the difference here? Can I make one? Can I make two? How do I do this? So I'll just show you the way it was composed, and we can look at variations if you want. It all kind of show the same exact theme. You play h5. What do? I just wait for you. King c4. Now let me ask you a question here. What's the difference between f6 and f5? Or for that matter, h4? One of those moves loses instantly. Which one? Let me show you. f5 loses immediately. Takes, and then after this kind of situation, mutual pushing, what happens? You go to a queen. Now they either take you or they promote. Well, it makes sense to take, right? Sure does. Not going to be enough. Check, and unfortunately it's just missing all the right diagonals here. Queen d7, and then this is kind of the way it would work. Right. So what am I showing in this variation? All the way back here, you cannot play f5. I can go deeper into that, but just to show, if I were to do this instead, this is mate, in case it wasn't clear that that's pinned. Kind of a nice variation. Okay, let's go back. So I play king c5, blocking this, right? I'm showing that you can't move your king. I'm allowing you to move your pawns because you played f6 instead of f5. All right, I keep oscillating. King c5, king c4, king c5, king c4. I'm letting you exhaust your tempi. Okay, f5. So now what's the difference? Well, now my king is no longer on c4, which changes the whole dynamic. So now I can take, and this is kind of toward the end of the puzzle here. This is the coolest part, in my opinion. These mutual pushes, push, push. And now I promote to a queen. What do as black? Do you promote to a queen? Do you take me and promote to a queen? Do you promote to something else? What are your thoughts on that? So if you just take me and promote, I have queen e8, and just like before, the best that they have is to throw something in the middle, and they lose. So surprisingly, it's actually better to not take my bishop and promote instead to a queen. And now this is the end of the puzzle. Ready for this? I give you a check on f4. You have to block. I take. This is all force at this point. Take, take. This bishop is pinning the rook, so they only have, sorry, it's white to move, but black only has a couple of moves when it's their turn. They have this square on a5 for the king, so what white does is blocks off this square, which is kind of effectively stalemating the king. Now, what do? You push h4, and look at this. King a6, knight c2, take. That's a draw. Isn't that an amazing puzzle? It's a really cool stalemate. I like the way it was composed. Just from beginning to end, just show it really fast again. Sacrificing the rook, putting the bishop on a nice square, making them exhaust moves, using your king to exhaust tempi. Very smart. And just like you're seeing in front of you, it will become a stalemate. The end is very, very delicate. If black goes wrong, they lose the game. But this ending sequence is a really cool way to force a draw. But that is it for the video. If you enjoy it, please be sure to let me know. I know it's been a while since I posted. I've been super busy, but I really appreciate those of you who have stuck around. That is it for now. Thanks so much. Bye.